Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Wednesday! It is hump day! Hump day, hump day, hump day, hump day. Oh, I know. I just love to do that. I don't know why. Anyway, sorry. Had to fix that. It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday. So, it's Self-Care Wednesday. And for Self-Care Wednesday, I am going to go back to an old tradition of the self-care deck. But I also have the card that from the other day. And it still cracks me up. I still have the two left. So today and tomorrow will be the card. Yesterday it was funny because I was kind of feeling guided to not do a show and to just kind of, catch my bearings and whatnot. And then Facebook went down. So... it was a happy accident. It was a happy coincidence. So, yay. But, I'm all fidgety this morning. Whew, I just need to take a deep breath, right? Just take a deep breath and let it all out. So, let's get to the Oracle deck. Or, sorry, the self-care deck. Now, remember, for those of you that come on, if you hear the word Oracle, please don't panic and leave. Oracles go way, way back, right? I mean, it could be a spiritually enlightened seer or a clergy person. It's just someone that gives you guidance, But I think we put so much on it because it's become such a metaphysical term that we don't see the message beyond the actual words. So I'm just asking for a little open-mindedness, and I'm sure all of you have an open mind, but just to, stay here and just get the message. You're going to like the card today. You're really, really going to like the card today. So let's see. I only got 2 self-care cards. What's happening? So, when I first started out this show, I would shuffle and do cards waiting for people to come on since this is a live. So feel free to fast forward if this is not your thing and you just want to get to the message, or after I do the long version of the show, I do a shorter version on TikToks where I won't do the card pull or the self-care pull. I'll probably share them in a reel, but I just go straight to the meat of the show. So I guess that's it. 4 cards. All right. Well, I like this. I look down and on the box it says, "You are a goddess." So, I know it's backwards, but you are a goddess. You are a goddess or a god. You have a godlike being inside of you. So, all right. Oh, I didn't realize there was already 5 out here. How about them apples? Let me just shuffle. Happy National Oreo Day, right? I even coordinated my colors. I mean, I know it's not brown, but Oreo cookies are pretty dark, so, So let's see. What's the first card? Time with friends. Time with friends is a great self-care tip. Go hang out with them, have coffee, have drinks, whatever. Just hang out and be with your people, right? That is absolute wonderful self-care and really kind of excellent advice. A lot of times we forget that. So time with friends is a very good self-care advice. Movement. So good morning, baby sibling. Happy hump day. Hump day, hump day, hump day. So for those of you who are just joining us or who are brand new to this show and you're wondering why I did it twice, it is her favorite thing. And, for people I know, I do my best to bring joy. And hopefully bring joy to anyone else who just caught up. So, movement. Movement is great. You can go to YouTube and find all kinds of movement videos. They have like chair exercise, chair aerobics, chair yoga. They have Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga. Yoga, I think, is a little more complicated. So if you're not used to doing yoga, maybe take a class or start with the beginner. Don't just jump into the deep end of the pool with that one, because a lot of that is stretching and working your way up to, a more advanced level. But, Tai Chi is pretty, just mellow. I like Qigong as well. Qigong is it's really just kind of movement, and it doesn't require a lot of movement, but for people who might have a little bit of immobility, I think it's really great. If you have a little bit of an equilibrium problem, do it in a chair. I mean, but do it, like maybe on a stool or in a sideways chair, because there are times when it requires you to go back. But just, give yourself that movement. Movement is good. Walking, just, if you need something in the office, instead of saying to someone, hey, can you get this for me? Get up and do it yourself, because that's movement, so there you go, movement. I'm not sure, but is that the warrior pose? I think that's the warrior pose. I'm guessing. Maybe not. I don't know. Warrior pose might be that long, what you call it. So I have no idea. Maybe this is the tree. No idea. But if you know yoga, you know what pose this is. So, but like I said, work up to the advanced levels of yoga. Drink tea. Drink tea. So I've been having this problem, right? Ever since I was sick, and I'm not sick anymore, but I've had this stuff just stuck in my throat. So this morning I had to decide, do I want coffee or do I want tea? So I just had black coffee. I mean, straight up, nothing in it. No sugar, no milk, no nothing. Just straight tea or straight coffee. But now I want tea. So drink tea. Tea can be very mellowing. And it's not just because you're drinking the tea. A lot of times it's the aroma that comes up from the tea. So, allow yourself that just kind of sink into that, get lost in that smell, get lost in that aroma, right? Even if it's your coffee, and maybe you're not a tea drinker, but you love coffee, just get lost in the aroma. And, that could be kind of a meditative experience as well. Just don't drop your coffee or your tea, because that would hurt. But yeah, just kind of breathe it all in. Look for fairies. Now, I know this isn't everybody's thing, but, for those of you who it are, look for fairies. Now, some people will sit there and go like, fairies are assholes. So for the metaphysical people that think that, they're only assholes if you treat them like one. So, to each their own, if that's not your thing. Also, some people have considered fairies to be nature angels. So, if you're not into the fairy thing, but you're into angels, they could be nature angels. But if you see that little spark of light here or there, just say hi. All right. So it may not be in your wheelhouse, but that's okay. And energy work. And this may not be in your wheelhouse either, but you know what? Energy work goes along very well with movement, because movement is really like energy work. You're loosening up, you're loosening up your vibe, you're loosening up that energy, and you're getting it unstuck with the movement. So you could also, with the tea, you could be loosening up your energy and doing energy work with that meditative experience, going in, just getting your chakras all spinning in a row. So, and again, that may not be your thing, but we all have energy centers. There's no getting away from that. That's kind of what keeps us going, right? Where we get energy from. So just feel free to just jump in there and get to know your body more, get to know yourself more, and have that movement, have that, that meditative experience. And, meditation doesn't have to be an hour long to the point where you end up waking up 2 hours later from a nap. It can be 5 minutes. It's breathing in and breathing out. And so if you're going to breathe in, if you're not used to doing breathing exercises, start small. But, you could breathe in for 2 seconds, exhale for 4. So whatever you breathe into, double that on the way out. But I would be careful with how long. I mean, you don't want to breathe in for 30 seconds, because then you're going to have to hold it for like 2 seconds and then exhale. You're going to make yourself pass out, so unless you're good at the breathing thing. So just take it slow, most times when I tell people, or I guide people through the meditative breathing process, I usually start with 4, the count of 4 to 8. So 4 in, 8 out. And because you really want to feel it in the pit of your stomach when you're exhaling. So, you would breathe into the count of 4, breathe in all that good, positive, wonderful, beautiful energy, and then just exhale through your mouth all the negative crap. And just, you can do short breathing exercises too, or you can do the count to 10, like when things start to piss you off and you're just like, oh, I can feel it. And, you just kind of like, nope, I'm good. So just count to 10. All right. So here we go. Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you were on Monday, but Monday was, it was kind of like having a mental out-of-body experience. I decided to, or I was guided to pull the Universe Has Your Back deck, okay? And I also pulled the Beyond Lemuria deck, which, again, don't get lost in where the message is coming from. Get lost in the message itself. But the first 3 cards in The Universe Has Your Back were about surrender. And so, full disclosure, I had other cards pulled, but something guided me yesterday and said, no, you need to pull a different card. So, and a lot of people that know me, and again, I don't want to lose anybody here, but I work very closely with Archangel Gabriel. I know not everyone is into the angels, and yes, I have a lot of different beliefs, but angels are my favorite. So, and I was guided to pull something else, so I shuffled the deck, and 2 cards flew out, 2 cards to replace the other 2, which turned out were more of a personal message. And tomorrow we're going to talk about the journey to wholeness. But the first card that popped out was surrender. And I was like, really? Really? So apparently the Sesame Street word for Monday was surrender. And I think that's just the theme for the week. But it is Self-Care Wednesday. And when we talk about surrender, we're talking about embracing the negative stuff that comes to you. And giving it a home, right? Giving it a little bit of space and a little bit of time to work itself through. I read this I think it was last week, right? So, and I'll read it again to you guys because I found it very, very interesting. I have to find it. But I wrote about, when bad things start to happen to us and we kind of get into this funky place where we're kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of over it. And you want to run from it. We shouldn't. All right. So I'm going to get to that in a second, but I want to read the surrender card first. And this is the picture that goes with it. It's kind of like just giving up to the flow, right? So I'm trying not to be seen there, but it's about giving up to the flow. It's about just kind of, no one's saying you have to do any backflips. All right. But I mean, just, if you notice, her hair is going through the rings and it's like a flow. It's a go with the flow. That's surrendering. Trusting that we can achieve more by loosening control can take courage. Yes, it can. Sometimes the most constructive way forward is to stop forcing things into being. Rather than allowing, inviting, and drawing a project into being, the energy here is of frustration, as if you are pushing something heavy up a mountain and gravity or flow don't seem to be on your side. Wasn't that the story of, Sisyphus? Is that, you know what? That's a word that's so hard for me to say, where he just kept pushing the stone up the hill only for it to fall back to the bottom, and then the next day he'd start all over, right? I mean, that was the parable. Like, how much or how long are you going to keep pushing the stone up the hill before you're just kind of like, why am I doing this? Why am I making things hard on myself? Only to do it over again and over again and over again. So use this awareness as a guide when you start to detour from your path. When control is released, so too is resistance. Loosen your hold on the reins and know the universe will catch you. Trust. Let the great mysteries reveal themselves. Trust. Trust is the key word there. I know that trust can be very difficult. I struggle with trust, but I'm getting better at it. And remember what I said about surrendering. Surrendering isn't about giving up. Okay, I know that, that's kind of the standard that we see, right, when we see the word surrender. But surrendering isn't about giving up. It's about stopping right where you're at, turning around, and, as it said here, having the courage to loosen control. So trust is the first word, right? Trusting that we can achieve more by loosening control can take courage. It takes courage to stand up to what is constantly chasing us. It takes courage to stand up to these feelings that we have that we're constantly trying to run away from. I was talking to baby sibling this morning about how, even before I had that little medical mishap, that I haven't been able to feel in a long time, like genuinely feel something. But she asked me if she thought it was this, that, or the other, and I told her, I'm like, I don't know. I remember having this conversation with older sibling months ago, and it was really kind of at the end of my healing journey. And I thought, what if this is just what it's like? I don't have, the trauma that I struggled with, it started so young that I don't have a point to go back to compare what, the feelings are or what the feelings should be. It just kind of is. So what if this empty feeling inside isn't empty, but just the balance? But that's where I struggle, because I'm not trusting it. I'm not, surrendering to it. I'm just assuming it's something bad because there was always some kind of bad feeling or negative feeling attached to the old feelings. Like where there was joy, it was like, when's the other shoe going to drop? When there was love, how long is it going to last before, something goes wrong? When it was happiness, it's like, okay, when is that shoe going to drop? There was always the other shoe waiting to drop when there really was no other shoe waiting to drop. And yeah, sometimes there will be, but that we can't wait for that, right? We just have to trust that everything is going to be okay, that everything that we're moving through, there's a reason for it. That everything does happen for a reason. And I know a lot of people don't like that term, everything happens for a reason, because, I've said that to people and they'll be like, oh yeah, like, so your mom passing away happened for a reason. I don't know if it did or not, but we don't get out of this world alive. All right. We get out with our soul intact, hopefully. Right. So watch your behaviors, but we don't bring the body with us. It gets put somewhere, whether it's scattered at sea or stuck in the ground. So you have to decide, what do you want to carry with you? Am I happy with the fact that my mom passed away? God, no. I miss her. There's a lot that I've done over the last, since she's died. But that's just it right there. I don't look at it as everything happens for a reason. For any other reason, then there was nothing I could do. But it started my healing journey. It really made me take a look. And some people will sit there and say, oh, so if your mom didn't die, you wouldn't have gone through this. I don't know. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't. I think it was time anyway. But it really made me think. Her passing really made me think. And like I said, we don't get out of this world alive. Do I like the fact that she's gone? No, I don't. I know sometimes when my dad is sad because, that was the love of his life. They were married for almost 50 years. They were together for 1 year longer than they were married. And you don't want to see your people sad. You don't want to see the people hurting. But again, I know we don't get out, older sibling and I talked about it yesterday. We do not get out of this world alive. So why are we constantly pushing back? Why are we constantly not trusting? And I'm asking myself these questions too, guys, because I'm pointing at the card, but these little piggies right here, they're pointing back at me saying, Shelley Marie, why are you still struggling? Why are you still, not surrendering? Why are you still trying to give pushback and try to figure out why you don't feel these feelings? And like I said, maybe it's some weird balance that I've never experienced before. But the point is, when we loosen control, and we start to trust enough to loosen control, things start to happen. The flow starts to go through. Start going with the flow. Surrender to me isn't giving up. It's learning how to go with the flow. Okay? We're not talking, the white flag kind of surrender. We're talking about turning around and having the courage to face whatever it is that you've been running from. It's the courage to turn around and say, hey, you know what? Fine, let's sit here and let's talk about it. And that's what I, kind of wrote last week when I woke up really early. I couldn't sleep. I was just having a kind of a rough, too much stuff happening in the head that needed to come out into the journal. And I was listening to a series of poems on YouTube, and something hit me between the eyes, right? And they brought up the poet Rumi. And like I said, Rumi's centuries years old. All right. However you want to interpret that. But, and it's funny because this message means, when I say that, it means this message has just been out there. And I probably heard this before, and then one day it just hits you. And I wrote, I just put, Rumi has appeared in a video I am watching about embracing the dark shadows, the shame and the guilt. Now, you're going to be like, what the hell is wrong with you? But give them a place to share their woes, go in love with them, and send them off better than they arrived. Sorry, I put I started being fancy journaling, so I probably should have used a lighter color over that. But, send them off better than they arrived. Entertain the darkness, not to give it a home, but to give it the love it needs so that it will no longer feel dark. And then I put OMG after that. And, I know that was kind of a rough reading there, but the point is when we find that courage, that bravery to stop and to face whatever it is that we're afraid of, to face whatever is happening in this moment with courage and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is happening. What can I do to move through it? How can I put this positive energy back into it? A lot of us are master manifestors without even realizing we're master manifestors. My mom was a master manifestor, but to her manifestations were prayer. My mom was a very devout Catholic. Not super crazy Catholic, but she was very devout. She used to walk herself to church when she was like 7 or 8 years old. Literally. It was just around the corner, and I finally got to see her walk when I became an adult. But, and I traveled back to Hawaii with my parents, but I saw the distance, and still for 7 or 8 years old, that's a long walk for a kid. Maybe nowadays that's a long walk. Back then it was just, but the fact is she had the wherewithal to take herself, because that was her safe space. That was where she could just be seen and loved by God, the God that she loves so much. And so for her, she was, whenever I was struggling with something, Mom, can you please pray for me? Because I was convinced she had a direct line, that red phone, to a higher power. And so, she would. And, I'd be so grateful. And, whether it worked out in my favor or not, I always felt better after I asked her that, because I always knew that, she was listening. And it wasn't coming from a place of desperation. It was coming from a place of love and protection. And so, if you expand that out to other beliefs, a lot of people don't pray. A lot of people aren't into religion. I personally don't subscribe to religion because I've had my experiences with it, and it's just, for me, it's very narrow. It's very narrow. I didn't say narrow-minded. It's just very narrow. And I like to expand the thought out. I like to know that there are other ideas out there, that there are other things out there. So I try to take the good from everything. I do a lot of reading in different areas. And so, you kind of come into your own spirituality, and that's where I did, and that's not a knock on anyone who is having a religious experience, or who does, turn their faith to the weekly visit to the church or the temple or the mosque. That's everybody's prerogative. And I think we all need to find a way to respect each other and our choices. So that being said, tiny soapbox moment. When it all comes down to it, no matter where we turn our higher power focus to, no matter how we, display ourselves, when we're ready, and when we get to this place where we're tired of being angry, where we're tired of being anxious about everything, we're going to find a way to surrender. Have you ever been picked on, right? I got bullied a lot when I was a kid, but I never really stood up for myself until later in life. And when, so it was just kind of, I don't really know these situations, but there are times when you just get to a point where you're so tired of it, you just yell, stop. I'm over it. I'm done. And you find this courage because you realize that the decision you're about to make is way better than the one that you've been living in, the situation you've been living in, than the anxiety riddled, stress riddled, place where you've been. And you finally say, no, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm done. And you turn around, you whip around, and you face that fear in the face. Or you face that fear. You look that fear in the face. And some might be, well, I'm just fed up. But no, it's because you finally found this courage, because you realize your worthiness. You realize what, is inside of you that deserves to have this joy, that deserves to have this happiness. And whether it's something that's physically in front of you, or just a feeling that you've had, or something that you feel you've been running from. Maybe it's trauma you're running from. Maybe it's a bad relationship or job that you're running from. Excuse me. Maybe it's a bad friendship. that you're running from? Actually, I can't say that I haven't, well, when I was younger I didn't, but when I was an adult, I hung out with a bunch of people that didn't jive with me anymore. I mean, it was constantly being thrown under the bus. It was somebody creating drama so they could fix it and feel better about themselves. And no, I'm not exaggerating, because when there was the final explosion and this group just imploded, it wasn't just me, but I thought it was just me. I thought, well, maybe I'm being overly sensitive. Maybe I'm being this. Maybe I'm being that. But, in the long run, when I looked back, it was a very toxic time. And I was just so desperate for friends that I didn't want to see it, because it was easier to just deal with it than to be alone, than to not have friends. But I ended up with the right people in the end. And I'm not sorry for that. I have a best friend out of it. I have a soul sister out of it. And, it's just, you learn as you go. And basically it was about surrendering. It was about saying, what am I willing to put up with? Am I willing to basically sell my soul for something that I don't believe in, just because it's easy? Or am I willing to fight for myself, surrender to that flow, and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep moving forward. And I found great friends. I moved on, found a whole new set of friends. And, it's been hard. COVID's kind of put a bit of a wrinkle in all that. And I know that was 4 years ago, but yeah, it really kind of put a wrinkle. But you know what? That just means maybe I'm moving in a new direction again, with people who are close to me, but just kind of everybody doing their own thing, living their own life. So, I think it's up to us to decide, what are you willing to put up with? How long are you willing to put up with it? And what is it that you need? What courage, what kind of courage do you need to find inside of yourself to say, look, this is enough. You've thrown enough at me. Even if you got to yell at the universe or yell at your higher power, just say, look, what the hell are you doing to me? We always say that, there's that saying, right? God will never give you more than you can handle. But I feel like sometimes God has. I feel like all my higher powers sitting at my spiritual table have gone, hey, let's try this. Let's try this. And sure, I came out on top, but there were times that I didn't. There were times when I fell apart so hard and I spiraled so bad. And so, you have to put your foot down and say, look, this is enough. And if it is your higher power, say, look, I know you're never going to give me more than I can handle, but right now, this is all I can handle. Stop trying to see how much it's going to take to break me. Because maybe that's what they're asking you. Maybe they're saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep putting this on you and this on you and this on you until you ask me for help. Until you start to believe that you are allowed to say something. That you are allowed to be, have a voice in your own life. Maybe that's it, right? Because a lot of times we'll just fall apart because we don't want to ask for help from anybody. Whether it's your higher power, the universe, a friend. I could not have done this journey. I could not have gone through this healing journey without the people that were there surrounding me and holding me up in those moments when I couldn't, when they held space for me, when they held my light, when I had nothing in the tank, absolutely nothing. I hit bottom so many times. I hit bottom just a few years ago. Mentally, I was ready to check out, like legit ready to check out. And it was because what broke me, believe it or not, and you can laugh because it's funny, was a fitted sheet. I couldn't, my bed is up against a wall, but it's a 2 people bed. So it's me and pillows and a cat, basically is what I'm saying. But it's, it's up against the wall. So it's not like a small twin bed where you can pull the mattress up, put the thing on, and then, plop it back down. No, it's like I'm not that tall. And my bed is high. So it's like, that's not happening. But I was so frustrated already. I was so over and done with everything that when I went to put the sheet on the bed, I just broke. And I laid there for like an hour just crying. And all the way up until that sheet broke me, I just thought, I'm done with this. I want to be over with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And I was ready to check out. But as I sat there crying, I realized, no, I'm not done yet. I just need to remember that I have people to turn to, that I have people to talk to, and I shouldn't be ashamed of that. I shouldn't be ashamed of needing to reach out for someone to hear me, for someone to see me. So that's why I'm grateful. I found people I trusted. I found people that would not judge me. Both of them are on right now, older sibling and baby sibling. My friend Sammy, who mostly it's through texting that we talk. It's not that I don't trust anyone else. I trust a lot of people. Oh, look at that. That's kind of an epiphany. I do trust a lot of people. Didn't think I did. But these three know my brain. These three know my heart. And these three understand where I've been. So it's, it's kind of like where you have, just as an example, I've never been through AA, but I know people who have. And in AA, you have a sponsor. Okay, any of the A's, right? Any of the anonymouses, you have a sponsor. And the sponsor is someone who's been through what you've been through. And they help you and they guide you. And these people know my experiences. They know how my brain works. They know, how many times I've hit bottom, how hard I've hit. And they don't sit there to rescue you. They sit there and hold space with you. They listen to you. They let you vent it out. And at times, yeah, they're going to sit there and they're going to try to, keep a space for you so that you don't remove yourself from this life. I'm trying to put that as delicately as I can. But in that moment, I surrendered. In that moment, I said, okay, I cannot do this alone. I keep saying I can't do this alone, and then I say I have people, but then I try to do it alone. And I even made a pact saying that would never be a thing. I would never go down that road. And I was like, I walked into the house and I'm like, nope, I'm breaking that pact. I'm over it. I'm done. And older sibling just looked at me like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I thought, yeah, I am. Sorry. But deep in my heart, I know I can't break promises. And that's why I promised other people, not myself, because I didn't trust myself. And since that day, the one thing I have had to learn, which is still a bit of a struggle for me, but not as much as I thought it was, as I'm talking about it now, the one person I forgot to put trust in was myself. So maybe that's what your surrender is. Maybe your surrender is having the courage to loosen the control and trust yourself. To stop trying to get ahead of something before it even happens. Because a lot of times when you try to do that, it just messes things up. And it messes things up that may not have happened, but you were trying so hard for it not to happen that you kind of made it happen. Manifesting is a sketchy thing, okay? When we pray, yeah, we're praying in a direction of, please help me. But if you're not a person that normally does that, but you set intentions or you're a manifester, we all do it, whether we believe it or not. We put this energy out there, and the energy we put out is the energy we get back. Regardless. You may think, hey, why isn't God answering my prayers? Well, what is the energy you're putting behind it? Is it desperate? Is it full of pain? Or is it trust and full of hope? Asking for the best outcome. We don't know what's going to happen. My dad and I every so often will talk, and he's all, well, how can there be a God? How can he let someone like your mother, who was so devout and so devoted to him, die? Now, my dad didn't lose his faith. My dad lost his faith long before my parents got married. He's been kind of older sibling and I had this comment the other day, or had this talk the other day. I call him an agnostic atheist because it depends on the day whether there's a higher power or not. But when he brings up my mom, it's hard for him to believe somebody out there. And to me, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Because I wonder too, why mom? Why anyone? Why not take bad people? Bad people that hurt other people. I know it sounds terrible, life for life. But I thought maybe she's supposed to fight some spiritual battle out there. Maybe she was supposed to guide us. Maybe she's supposed to help us. Maybe there's a lesson that we're supposed to learn. I don't know. I don't know why so young. I mean, my mom was in her early 60s. Well, mid 60s, almost mid 60s. So, for other people that's not young, but she'd just only been retired for like 6 years, and then poof, out. But I had to surrender to that anger. I had to surrender to that grief, and I had to ask myself, what can I learn from this? What teachable lesson is there in this? What can I do to push myself forward? And in that grief is where I found this healing journey. So for me, I found a reason. I didn't like the reason, but I found a reason. That doesn't mean that's why she passed away, so I could go on this grand journey. No. She passed away because, again, we do not get out of this life alive. We just, we exist, we live, and it's up to us whether or not we thrive or not. It's up to us whether or not all the problems that get thrown at us, all the curveballs, whether we're able to hit it, duck, or just strike out. And by that I mean don't even try. If we don't try, we don't know what we're capable of. And yes, I hear it in my voice. For those of you who are watching later that know me, I hear it in my voice. I hear it in the words. We don't know what we're capable of unless we try. And maybe that's where I'll find that feeling. Maybe I'll find that elation when, I do something. The other night I had a twinge of a shimmer of a feeling, right? Because I was reading something I wrote. And all I thought was, damn, I can weave together a pretty good story. And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, that is the first time you have ever given yourself credit for your gift. So baby sibling said maybe her soul learned everything she needed to so she can go enjoy the beauty of heaven. Agreed. Maybe that's exactly it. Because my mom chose her death. She had cancer, and she said, you know what? I can't live like this. And she stopped all treatment. Honestly, to be honest with you, considering what cancer she had and how far advanced she was, I wish she would have never started the treatment. I think that actually made it worse. But she did it for us. She did it for my dad and I. Because she thought, well, if I can give them a little bit more time, maybe they'll be able to say goodbye. We lost her within 4 months. And by the time she left, I was grateful because my mom withered away. And it's painful to watch someone you love just literally, physically, and emotionally, and everything else just disappear. Like just kind of wither before your eyes. And I miss her every day. There's not a day that goes by that I think my dad or I, no matter how much we move forward in our lives, don't miss her. Because she's in our hearts. Same with Sissy Joe. I'll never understand that. She died before she never made it to 50. When I made it to 50, the first thing I thought was, I'm grateful. Because I know so many people that didn't. My friend who passed away when she took her own life, she didn't make it to 50. Sissy Joe passed away from cancer. She didn't make it to 50. These are people who I always looked to as being so strong in my life. 3 people, and they were all gone. It's like, oh, what the hell? So yeah, I like that. Maybe her soul learned everything. Thank you, baby sibling. And she can enjoy the beauty of heaven. She can go up there and her and Sissy Joe, I always tell older sibling, I said, I'm pretty sure they're up there keeping God organized. Because they were very, very, they turned their higher power to God. That's where their higher power sat. And, yeah, he's at my spiritual table along with a few others. But it's not about that. It's about how we look at life. We can mourn for the rest of our lives. We can be sad about somebody being gone. Or we can find that strength that they always tried to instill in us and realize that it's always been there. My mom always made me feel like I wasn't strong enough because I think she always worried about me. Hello, I'm an only child who she almost lost when I was 3 years old. And, I think because I turned to her so much And because I always leaned on her, I don't think either one of us knew the strength I actually had. It took a lot of strength to get through what I went through as a child and to keep it from the whole world. And I held on to that for a long time before anybody ever found out. Long after my aggressor was gone. Long after. And when I got older and I started healing all this, I'm like, holy crap. Maybe I didn't heal it in the right way at first, which is why I have to start this healing process all over. But wow, there is this strength there. And what I was doing when I was leaning on my mom or my dad, and a lot of times it was my mom because there was a spiritual side to her. My dad was the fun one. I mean, my mom could be fun too, but my mom was my mom. If you know my mom was my mom. But when it came to the spiritual side, I think I just leaned on her because I needed a break. I just didn't realize that I was leaning on her because I needed a break. And I think she thought I was leaning on her because I couldn't handle things, because I wasn't strong enough, but I just needed that break. And as I talk about it now, I realize that's exactly it. And I know she sees that now. I have no doubt in my mind she sees that. I have a lot of gifts, and I'm grateful that I can communicate. So, you can take that any way you want to. I don't mind. But yeah, so surrendering is a lot of different things. And we have to make that choice whether or not we want to release that control, or we still want to resist. Hold on to that. So when control is released, so too is resistance. When control is released, so too is resistance. And, you'll have that flow, right? You'll find this go with the flow feeling and this go with the flow attitude and this, you know what, I can handle this. When it feels like it's becoming too much, it's okay to say enough. Stop throwing things at me. I have what I can handle. Sometimes I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, which is actually the thought I was trying to get out, sometimes I think it's them trying to tell us, speak up, find your voice, say, no more. You've given me enough. Let me handle this before you throw anything else at me. It's about finding that voice. It's about having that voice. It's about speaking up and saying, hey, you need to see me because I am standing here and I'm carrying too much right now. And it's becoming a burden. And I can't learn these lessons if you're constantly pushing me down with too much weight. Speak up and have a voice and say enough. Because what if that's why God never gives us more than we can handle? Because maybe, the quote, right? The saying, because we get to that point where we're just like, enough. But why get to that point? Just say, look, you know what? Higher powers, whoever they are, the universe, God, whoever you turn your higher focus to, just say, hey, I need a break. You need to let me handle what I'm handling now. And then we'll get to the other stuff later. Okay? Put it on the back burner. Put it over there. Put that box in the corner. Because I can't deal with it right now. And that doesn't mean that you're running away from something. It means I know it's there. I'm going to deal with it later. But right now I have this important stuff that I need to handle. I have the important stuff that needs to be taken care of. That has now become priority in my life. And the rest will sort itself out. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day today. I 100% love this card. Tomorrow, again, is going to be the journey into wholeness. I'm excited about that. The reason I thought to do surrender first was, one, again, it's been kind of the theme of the week, but I think journey into wholeness is going to be just like last week when we did people pleasing, and on Thursday, I decided, hey, let's do the healing deck, and we got the rejection card. And what did I say about that? Rejection and fear is the root of people pleasing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out, because why do we people please? Because we're afraid of being rejected and we're afraid no one's going to like us. But once we move out of that and we start to realize who our people are and who loves us just as we are, weirdness and all, we get it. I had a funny post this morning that says, thank you for, basically saying, thank you for loving me and my weirdness. And I am weird. I'm weird and fun. I used to say I'm not weird and fun, but I am weird and fun, and I don't care. I don't care who knows. Because it's who I am. It's how I'm made up. And, sometimes they say the stupidest shit flies out of my mouth. And even sometimes I'm like, whoa, really? Really? Sometimes I'm completely inappropriate. But, with what I say, but it always comes out the right way, hopefully. And when it doesn't, it's like, oh, too soon? But I do have a filter. Believe it or not, I do have a filter. And other people may not understand. But I know the person that I'm directing it at, they get it. They get it. So, and it brings them back a little bit. It reels them back in a little. So, that's how it goes. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Older sibling, baby sibling, thank you for popping on. Thank you for being a wonderful support group as well. And for seeing me through this journey. And hopefully I'll figure out this whole feeling thing, right? And why I'm struggling with that. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it. Maybe that's the answer right there. I need to surrender to that feeling, to that emptiness, and ask myself why. So see, even I got lessons to learn, guys. I try to make these shows relatable with my own experiences while also sharing, some insights I might get or might have. But it doesn't mean I'm not learning at the same time as I'm trying to give the teachable lesson, as I'm trying to express how we can move forward. So I have some work to do. Apparently I have some work to do. So again, last time I'm going to say this. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see everybody back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under the Aloha Perspective on the Facebook page. You can also catch the replay on YouTube if you do not have Facebook, because I share this to Twitter, so eventually someone's going to see it. But if you do have Facebook and you want to come on live, just find my page, the Aloha Perspective, okay? And yeah, I also do a very short version where I'm just going to go straight to the card on TikTok, and I'll talk about it there. Sometimes I recommend starting there because a lot of times they come up with something different. When that does happen, when the message ends up being completely different, I also share that to YouTube. So you can kind of get both. All right. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And tomorrow, again, Journey to Wholeness. Have a great day.